Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, just want to make sure.
Which is a boy.
Gotcha. And now, in terms of the kids, now, are they into boating and, partaking in that lifestyle? Because I'm assuming as your children, they grew up around that environment.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. They all are into boating. My youngest and middle, much more. So they live in Florida. My oldest is in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And he was a gymnast at University of Oklahoma. His wife also. Right. And he loved gymnastics. He opened up a gym there. He's working as a programmer architect.
Sure.
And started the gym, and he's got 4 kids. All of them are gymnasts. 2 of them have followed him to University of Oklahoma as gymnasts, and he has no time for boats. He's got 2 or 3 boats in the yard, but never gets to use them.
Well, we've talked about this too. He's in fantastic shape. I mean, there's my history in martial arts and, being around folks who are all into fitness and whatnot. If they see, now your son, what's his name?
Mark.
If you see pictures of Mark, if you're listening to this and you have any kind of thoughts on, how to get there and, be a specimen of a gymnast, he is it. I mean, and to say I'm jealous would be a sincere, understatement. But I'm sure he worked like hell to get there. Okay.
He shows his 6-pack. I hide mine.
Yeah. Well,
the protective layer.
A 6-pack for us is 6 of us standing side by side. Okay, so the kids, like I said, they had some experience with boats growing up. So now we talk about your first job at the steel company. Now let's talk about specific to marine. What marine manufacturers or related companies through the years have you worked for? Because that in itself is fascinating.
Yeah. Trojan Yacht. Then I went to Slickcraft and Robalo until they basically went bust.
Right.
Irwin Jacobs, or AMF, sold out.
Okay.
And that took me to Holland, Michigan, and they closed that plant. They wanted me to go to Little Falls, Minnesota. I commuted back and forth there for 6 months and decided there's no way I'm going to move to Minnesota, Little Falls, Minnesota. So I got a job at Wellcraft as vice president of engineering. I went down there. I worked in my 2 weeks notice. They asked me if I could come down for a day or two, to get started. So I went down, came back, got a call from Bob Long, who was the president, who I had known from AMF. And he said, Jeff, the bottom has fallen out of the industry, and I just can't bring on any new people now.
Right.
So, oh, good. I just quit my job. Went to here. Now what am I going to do? And that very afternoon, the president of Slickcraft came to me and said, gee, if we move engineering to Florida to the Robalo plant, would you stay? Oh, let me think about that.
Yeah. Hard fight, right?
Yeah, so I went
Twist
down
my arm.
To Robalo for a couple of years, and then decided that I wanted to build my own boats. So we had a picture of that one.
Yeah, that's right there on the monitor. We'll get a snap up to share with everybody.
Okay, so this was a stepped hull runabout. I was always interested in stepped hulls because I followed the boats of the 40s and 30s, the Garwoods and the Chris Crafts and whatnot, and also seaplanes had stepped hulls.
Okay.
And they always intrigued me. We got away from stepped hulls when we got big, powerful engine V8s because the stepped hull was more efficient and they could run with the smaller engines. So they got the bigger engines. They didn't need them.
They didn't need it, yeah.
They didn't need them. So I said, well, maybe it's time to bring these back. So I built the first one, and got it out on the water, and it just sucked down. It wouldn't come up, and then all of a sudden it would pop loose, and it was like a rocket powered.
Right.
Friend of mine's father, Olin Stevens, and Dave Wood, whose grandfather was Garwood, he built boats and he raced unlimited hydroplanes. They told me, well, when we built slow motion, we had the same problem. We found out that if we aerate the step, it eliminated that. So then I learned to aerate the step, and the boat performed great.
Now, for folks that are hearing this and they're not exactly familiar with what exactly you mean by steps in the hull, can you explain that for someone who's, say, a novice?
Okay.
What that is?
Well, the front part of the hull would be deeper, and then the back part of it, at some point, would step up an inch, 3 inches, 4 inches, something, so that there is a space. When the boat's going through the water, it releases at the forward step and then reattaches at the back step, and reduces the amount of wetted surface, the amount of area that the water is, the friction.
And that increases the
efficiency.
overall. So the downside for what you're describing is for when the boat is squatted or in the water, and it begins to move forward, and you're powering up, that hold that it has because of that is due to the step, but it also, so the trade-off for the performance there is you're going to be a little slower out of the hole shot, for those who might not know what that term means. But then as we move out of there and we get up on plane or on top of the water, we're moving more efficiently, using less fuel, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So great. My knowledge of that, we just exceeded my entire knowledge of boating. So with that, what other that is really interesting to me, because it makes me wonder, so what was it like in terms of the tooling you mentioned and the materials and the people? What was it like building a boat in the 70s versus today?
Not much different.
Okay.
The tooling back then was all hand built. We would build a wooden boat. We would turn it upside down and make a fiberglass mold off of it, pulled it in, and then we could reproduce that boat in fiberglass, laying up, very similar to what we're doing today.
Now, has the quality of the glass or the materials, any of that stuff improved, or has it stayed pretty much the same?
No, we've improved the quality of the glass material itself, going from woven, like intertwined, to unidirectional, and that increases the structural strength of the material and also reduces the weight.
Got it.
Because there's not as much resin trapped in it.
So, speaking career long now, from a span of start to now, how many boats do you think you've drawn that were actually produced?
150.
Okay, and then how many do you think you've drawn that weren't produced?
Another 150.
Okay. So you've worked for Wellcraft, you said, which was it Slickcraft? Is that what was that?
Slickcraft,
Robalo.
Pursuit.
Going to move around a little bit for you. So when you owned your boating company, you told me a really interesting story, and you can leave out the names and the places and the faces to protect the innocent, but or the guilty, I should say. So tell me the story about the boat show and or the delivery of a boat. Maybe I said boat show incorrectly. Where we had built the boat, we take it to the Miami area to deliver it, and what was I don't want to spill the beans. So
Okay. Well, we built a boat for a fellow from Fort Lauderdale, and when he came up to pick it up, he brought a paper bag. The boat was $30,000.
Right, and what year was this?
This was 1983 or 4.
A lot of cash to carry around any time for a period.
Yeah.
So a paper bag with 30 grand.
Paper bag with $30,000, with $25,000 in it. And So he came up with the 25. He said, well, you're 5 short. He says, well, you know, you want to sell the boat?
Yeah.
And at that point, yeah, we needed to pay payroll the next day.
I got you. I understand.
So, all right, we'll give you the boat for the $25,000 now, and you'll owe us 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he took the boat, loved the boat, had some issues with it, warranty issues.
Sure, sure.
So, okay, we'll bring it back and we'll fix it. So we brought it back, and we're taking it back down there. My brother was taking it back down there. And on his way to Fort Lauderdale, he stopped in Pompano.
Okay.
And pulled into a gas station, unhooked the boat, asked him if he could just leave it there for a bit. Went down to visit the fellow at his barbecue rib restaurant.
Okay.
And
Nameless barbecue rib restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah. And told him that, you know, we need the rest of the money so I can bring you your boat. And he says, I've got the boat. He says, no, you don't. Yes, I do.
So they'd already gotten the boat from
They
the
had-
place you
yeah,
dropped it
he-
off, and
yeah,
somebody said,
well-
hey, your boat's around there, so now we've got it.
So
And-
he went and got the boat, and
Yeah.
and he told Chris, this is, I think you just better forget about it.
So you never got the $5,000.
We never
right?
got the
Okay,
$5,000,
yeah.
and we
$5,000
forgot about it.
And
Yeah.
yeah, $5,000 at that time was
Yeah.
actually still a lot of money too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So, of all the boats and projects you've been involved with over the decades of this career, which is absolutely fascinating. So, what was your favorite project,
The one that I'm working on now.
and what is that one?
Well, it's a 31-footer, but my favorite project has always been the one I'm working on.
One you're working on now, right?
And it was every boat I built.
Right, got ya. So that's a 31. We won't say a brand name.
No.
That's implied. So now I've seen that I've been to your house multiple times. It's the best hotel in Florida, by the way.
Yep.
I'm glad I know where it is. It's really inexpensive, and the food's really good, and your wife is awesome, by the way. So the boats that I've seen at your house have been an LX-24. I've seen a 26 over the years. So if you had to take one home today for your personal use, we won't get into which one you own today. That's a totally different subject. But if you could say, all right, fellas, build me one. I'm going to take this one home, and that's the thing with boat engineering and folks who work in the industry. You never really own them. You're just kind of borrowing them until you move to the next one. So if you had to borrow one today, what are we borrowing and taking home, and why?
It would probably be the LX-26.
Okay.
In Stuart, Florida, where I live. The Gulf Stream is 68 miles out. Offshore fishing is
Fantastic.
fantastic. And
Hard place to get in and out of, though.
a hard place to get out. We have 2 worst inlets, Stuart and Jupiter, in the country. And it's a great size for that area, for that water.
Gotcha. And then your grandkids fish too. I forgot to mention that. That's your grandson didn't he made the cover, or was it an interior of one of the fishing magazines? It was Florida Sportsman.
Florida Sportsman. Yeah, he was on the cover.
He was super happy about it.
Yeah.
That's a great photo, by the way.
Yeah.
That just popped back into my head. So, in terms of the number of boats we've drawn and the time in the history, and where the current project always being the favorite one, I know that there's a much larger passion in your life, and I have purposely not brought this up until now. Let's talk about golf.
Well, it all started out, I've golfed all my life. My parents were big golfers. But used to like to go fishing until the kids got involved.
I got you.
And
Then you're playing captain, and
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, these are adult children.
sure.
And
Which are the worst, by the way.
The worst, absolutely. And especially the son-in-law.
Now, wait a minute. Before you go there, you have a great saying about being older and your children and what you look forward to in your life. So go ahead.
absolutely.
So-
Well, I'm looking forward in my retirement for them to keep me in the style I would like to become accustomed to.
and being a great burden on
Burden.
them. That was the best
Yeah.
expression I think I had ever heard of that. It's really
Yeah,
funny. I've actually told my kids that a million times since the first time you told me that. Okay, so you liked fishing until the adult kids got involved. Your son-in-law, who's a great guy, by the way.
Yes,
But anyway,
he is.
Okay,
Yes, he is.
so he's involved.
And the style of fishing that they like is not what I like. I like going out, dragging dead bait, looking for dolphin primarily. And he is more of a live bait drift fisherman. He catches a lot of sailfish, but not many dolphin. And that's, you're lucky when you get dolphin that way. You have to go to where they are.
Sure.
And I like dolphin because it's the best eating fish there is. Sailfish, you catch one, okay, fine.
Great.
Now what?
Right.
Why do it again?
We got a picture. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
hang the picture up somewhere in the house and we move on, right?
no. And so I just enjoy going out and sitting, drifting for 6 hours.
Right.
I like catching, not fishing.
Yeah.
And
so golf.
I play golf.
So you play golf, and how many times a week would you say you play golf?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Favorite course so far?
Boy, the one that I'm going to tomorrow.
The one that you're going to next. What's on
Actually, my favorite course is where I was last week. It's called Currahee in North Georgia.
Okay.
It is where they just made a movie called Mulligan there.
Okay.
Which I'm still waiting to see.
Okay.
But it's on a mountain. The first hole is a par 5, probably 200 feet from the tee box down to the green.
Gotcha.
And it's up and down. It's beautiful.
Right.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Now, if you had a wish list of 3 ones you want to play on, what would those be?
Oh.
And I'm going to make sure you're now we want your adult kids to hear this.
Okay.
Right. We want to participate now. So the 3 that you could play, what would those be?
Augusta.
Okay. That's a given, right? Yeah.
That's a given.
Okay.
Carmel, California, there's 3 of them there.
Right. Okay.
That I'd like to play. And those are basically
Got it.
the wish
Now,
list.
I want to make sure that folks understand a little bit more about Jeff, and that I have talked with you about golf, and I have been on and off again, and I'm on my off again phase. I've been off for almost 10 years. I liked it a lot when I didn't have to pay for it. It was a really nice, fun sport when I didn't have to pay for it. And won't get into how you get free golf, but there's ways to do that. But what folks might not know is that you actually gave me an entire set of golf clubs, and the bag was your father's. And for that, just in and of itself, thank you so much. That's probably one of the coolest things that anybody's ever done for me. And regardless of what happens in my life, I'll always, because you literally gave me your dad's golf bag, and that to me is it's almost it doesn't get used probably the way that it is, and I'll probably end up buying another bag just because I have so few items that are sentimental to me that way. So you giving me that has always been, awesome. And when people say, "What's the deal with golf?" Don't touch them, leave them alone. So that's pretty cool. So in terms of where do we go from here? So when is retirement?
I don't know.
Whenever.
When I can get in the car and drive to Georgia.
A lot of folks don't know that you can do that commute too. So how many miles is it?
332.
332. You got that on memory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Car kind of drive itself. Jeff, I think this has been awesome, and I think it kind of shines a light into your career and your past and your role here at Composite Research and everywhere else for that regard. And we at some point will most likely chat again, on or off camera for sure, but we're definitely want to follow you around at some point and see if we can get some discussion on the things that you do here and watch you actually do some of the cool stuff you've been describing. Cool. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.